Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Franchise Show. This is the show where we get under the hat of all things franchising. I hope you're all well, and this is a live show. Well, it's live if it's October the 21st at about 5:15 in the UK and about 12:15 in some bits of America. And because it's live, we love you to get involved. So if you are here live, pop in a comment, say hello, and get involved in our conversation. And what do we do? So each week on the Franchise Show, we take a different topic and we take a lovely guest. And today we have no exception to that. We have a fantastic guest. Most of you will know Saleem from Businesses for Sale. Saleem, welcome to the Franchise Show.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. It's lovely to have you here. So the topic we're going to be talking about today is franchise networking, and it's a really important one. I think that franchises are born on networks, and you even refer to things as a franchise network. So I think it's a really important word. Before we get into things, Saleem, perhaps you could do a little bit of an introduction. As I say, most people are going to know you, but there may be a few people who have joined us that don't know you. So let us know a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, hello to Charles from Hong Kong. That's pretty awesome. Yes, for those of you who don't know me, I don't expect everybody to know me, but I'm Saleem. I've been with Businesses for Sale for about, it's near on 13 years. I play the role of the Chief Operating Officer, but for the purposes of this chat, I've changed my abbreviation from COO to CPO, which says the P standing for party. Thank you, Harvey, for giving me that idea. But yeah, listen, I guess at our core, what businessesforsale.com does is it connects buyers and sellers. It is a platform for connecting people who want to do business. And so, we are natural sort of networkers. We're creators of that sort of dot connection that you need in order to help grow things, to help business transact. So we came into franchising because it's just another business model. We work with about 700 franchise brands across the world right now. UK is definitely home turf for us, but we're big in the UK, in the US, Canada, Australia, and in the UAE, South Africa. To be fair, there's loads of them. We're in about 160 countries. What would to sort of complement that spread, that global spread, we've also got a global team that we've always had to be, because we're a technology company, and it's always been about keeping connected with those people, maintaining some form of culture, something that binds us in a very positive sort of way, because it's very easy for the lack of water cooler conversations to create mistrust, and so we've always been sort of culture vultures at our heart at BFS. And yeah, we're doing a lot of stuff where we probably bumped into a few of you that's continuing that just outside of the organization. That's probably why we're here.
Well, we're gonna get into in a minute the after parties and the social events that you do put on, and and what the sort of the original idea and where that came from, and the value that people get from it. And you can talk as chief party officer on this. When you do that, let's just recognise a few people who have joined us here live already. You mentioned, of course, the lovely Charles Caldwell from Hong Kong. It's always a pleasure to have you with us, Charles. I know it's about 1 a.m, so it's always really kind of you to join us and add value to the show. So thanks very much for that. We have the lovely Simon Wise. He's put, hello, franchising friends. Let's network, baby. Very good. It's good to have you with us. We've got the lovely Katrina Newman with us. And Katrina's put, hello, Saleem and Harvey. Fantastic to be here today. It's been a while. Well, it's a pleasure to have you with us. And let us know your experiences of networking and how it's helped you, how it's helped grow the networks that you've been involved in. We have the lovely Penny Hopkinson with us. Penny is, of course, one of our supporters. And I'm going to do it because I've been supporting her book. And is it going to be the right way around today? It is. It is. And if you want to get your ops manuals the right way around, then you need to speak to Penny. So it's great to have you with us, Penny. And Penny has put hello, Harvey and Saleem, and all our other franchise friends. Let's have a look. We've got a few more people to recognize before we start getting into this today. We have somebody here called Nikhil. Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? Well, we're doing very well. Great to have you with us. We have the fantastic Leslie Flowers with us. Leslie has a LinkedIn Live on a Friday called Think and Grow Rich, and it's based on that fantastic book. So please check that out. And Leslie has put hello, Harvey Tuck, and guest. There you go. Makes you sound very mysterious, Saleem.
I don't know about that. You'll find out pretty soon, Leslie.
We've got Lisa Feverick with us as well. Lisa is a dietitian, has a LinkedIn Live, and helps women that are going through the menopause. So it's fantastic to have you with us. And we have one more comment here from Simon. He's put Saleem oiling the wheels of the UK franchising sector for over 13 years. You're going to put that in a quote somewhere.
That's quite good. I like that. Thank you, Simon.
It'll be at the back of your autobiography, perhaps.
One day.
We've got the fantastic Joe Caruso. I'm a big fan of Joe and what he does in America. He's a great resource for franchising and a font of knowledge. And he's put hello, Saleem and Harvey, listening and watching from the beautiful Havre de Grace, Maryland, USA, on the waters of the Susquehanna River and the Chesapeake Bay. He's really, really testing me there. That all sounds amazing, and
I'm very jealous. We're in cloudy in the cloudy UK. I mean, there is a river near me, but I'd rather not go there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it always seems to be very nice in the US when it's described. I want somebody from the US to come on when it's just a bit grey and drizzly. Anyway, let's get into today's subject, and I think it would be great to start because one of the reasons I wanted to talk about networking with you, Saleem, is the fact that, like you said, your business was built on connecting buyers and sellers together. So that's really important. But a lot of people will also know you for putting on these fantastic social events. So let's get into that. How did the idea of supporting the industry in this really wonderful way come about?
Well, I guess, okay, I'll tell you the real story. I mean, I won't sanitize it because it's quite a fun story. So how it all started off was we were at this is the day before one of the Olympia trade shows. So this is early in the year. The show's on the Friday and the Saturday, but there were social events on the Thursday. They tend to be networking events. And at the end of one of those things, we a bunch of franchisors who weren't from London asked me, well, so we don't want to go home yet. It's only 10 o'clock in the evening. And for me, I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, it's really late in the evening and I want to go home because I've got a show the next morning. But what ended up happening is we ended up in a part of London called Soho, in the bars that I would hang out with. There's a place called Trisha's, which is underground. It has no sign. It's just a guy standing at the door. And it's cash only at the door as well. It was at least at that time. It was one of those sorts of things. And as you can imagine, the rest of the night was followed suit. Anyway, we had sore heads in the morning, and we ended up saying to each other at the trade show, "Well, the after party was even more fun than the actual party," and that's how they coined the term after party, because what actually happened during that evening, apart from the fun jazz bar and all the, I'll leave it to your imagination, but it was a good night. But what ended up happening was that a bunch of people sort of created a bond. These are different people that knew of each other but didn't know each other. But they ended up bonding during that night because it was great. It was eventful. We went to some fun places, but they had a common experience. They created some memories together, and that bonded them. And then they actually went on and did some more some business together as well. So it all came from fostering that sort of trust that you can only sort of share, I guess, we're doing a mutual hangover or a common hangover, I suspect. And so a lot came out of that evening. And so we got thinking to ourselves, maybe we should do something like this again. You know, but give it a bit of a spine and a structure. So the franchise industry could come together in a space like this. And we thought franchising, because it already has a pre-existing community, which but a lot of us are sort of ships in the night, and we'll sort of lily pad from one event to another during the course of the calendar year. And so we thought, look, why don't we just keep it really light? And the first after party that ever happened was in a speakeasy underneath Smithfield's meat market. And we had a drag queen comparing the evening as well. It was because we wanted to create memories, but she ran the Alternative Franchise Awards for us as well. So we had people moonwalking and all sorts of stuff. But everybody remembers Scott from Elite Franchise doing the moonwalk with.
I didn't know you could do the moonwalk.
He could do a very good moonwalk. But it's these little things that, you know, if you're having a meeting with somebody, you wouldn't really glean that stuff, would you? You know, you don't expect Scott to get up and do a moonwalk, but he was very good. But those little things, those little tidbits of little experiences, small kindnesses throughout the night, sort of bonded everybody, and they took that forward, those experiences forward, and you could almost see the conversations elevated the next time they all met. So you could see something was working, people were gelling, and so we carried on with it, and here we are. So there's one after every franchise show in the UK, and we'd like to do more internationally one day, if the liver allows. But yeah, that's kind of how it all started off. It was
fantastic. I love it. It kind of naturally and organically formed from just a friendly invitation and wanting to continue these things on. And I've been very kindly invited to a few of these. And what I really feel about it is, during the day with the shows, you haven't got a lot of time to talk to each other, because you're paying a decent amount of money to be there. You've got a job to do. You're promoting the business that you're trying to find franchisees for, and therefore you don't have time to create those bonds so much with the other people that are exhibiting. You have a pretty strong bond with the people you're exhibiting with if you went out for a meal or whatever it might be. And I really agree with that. It's like when people come on here as a guest, and they share this experience, it creates, if two people come on it that hadn't known each other before, it creates quite a strong bond, because it's an experience. And I think you're right. It's you create those memories, don't you? Even if they are drunken memories. But they're important. You let down your guard a little bit, and it's then really important to just have really perhaps open and honest conversations with maybe your competitors as well.
That's exactly it. And the thing is, credit to the franchise industry on this, because I mean, I was a bit of a newbie when still am, I think, 13 years into it. But I was very much a newbie, but I could sort of see that there was a bit of a tribe, a bit of a franchise family sort of gig going on, where everybody knew each other. A lot of people would work for each other, and it took a while to sort of get to know the names. And what was quite nice is, if we could speed that up in time. The people, the sort of network building, if we could speed it up rather than having sort of slowly but surely, with ships in the night, sort of bumping into each other every now and again, then all the better for the industry. I do recall it was a different industry 13 years ago. There were very different people in the industry, and some people that we probably wouldn't want at an after party as well. But they sort of come out with the wash, as these things do, because I think the great thing about franchising is that because everybody's so close, it's a self-cleansing system. But you don't know that if you don't. You couldn't do this sort of event. You couldn't run these sorts of events in many other industries, because you don't have that pre-existing camaraderie. I guess there is something that binds us in this franchising. And even if it is two competitors, as you said, if they are having a conversation over a beer, they'll share anecdotes, they'll share tips and tricks, they'll help each other out, actually, because they understand that the pie is big enough. And if they both make their if all of them make a collective push for that pie to be bigger, then their slice automatically grows without having to sort of grab for anybody else's. And that I think was quite refreshing about the franchise industry for me. So it's kind of it's a big differentiator for us when it comes to networking events and how you go about them.
I think you're absolutely right. In my experience, going back, working in various different industries, I don't think I've ever seen an industry that's as well connected organically, even without these things. That you'll get many examples. I name drop him several times, but Amrit from Wolfinch, he's a
Yeah, great guy.
he's a big advocate of his competitors, always talking to his competitors, always being open with his competitors. Certainly the people that are doing things the right way. And then they're all doing things the right way for the benefit of that particular sector and industry. And I went to a networking event, and it was coffee machine people there, right? And it was fantastic, and it was great to actually connect. There was some nervousness around, I think, that everyone was going to be there. But look, they're all friends. They're all people that perhaps you've worked with in the past. They're all trying to do the same thing. And yes, they're competitors. And there's some caution perhaps around some of the detail of what you say, but also it's just a great way of getting together. I think it's really important. But I think you're absolutely right that the franchise industry is quite unique. There goes the cat. Hello, Pebbles. The franchise industry is a bit unique in that it's like that already. Let's
Yeah.
have a little look. We've got a few people here. Let's say hello to the lovely Omar. Omar hosts a LinkedIn Live called Zoom Party. It's a crazy quiz of which I've been on, and I was running about the house, so it was fantastic. He put, hello there. I'd like to see you this morning, guys. It's a brilliant day, Tuesday morning, 9:30. Well, it's great to have you with us. Omar's based in the US. We've got a comment here from Simon. Let's bring this one up. He's put, how has businesses for sale benefited from networking events? Has it been good for business? This is a really interesting one, because I think if anyone is watching this, franchising or not, and thinking about, should we put on an event, go to the expense of doing it, when the return on investment is sometimes not quantifiably clear? Is that perhaps a way of putting it? How do you answer that one?
Well, I think as with any business, you've got sort of long-term ambitions and you've got short-term goals, and you can measure some, you can't measure others. There's some things that are just intangibles, like brand building, awareness. You can draw up KPIs for things like that, but generally speaking, yes, we do. We will pick up business after those events, but it's a policy of ours not to talk shop at these after parties, because the thing is, look, we're very proud of the work we do. We do a good job of it. Next year is our 30-year anniversary as a business. This is what I meant, that I'm still a newbie, and so we must be doing something right. And what we want is for people to have a great time first, and then build the bonds, build the camaraderie, then go and have a conversation, see if there's a fit around on the commercials. And over the long haul, and over the years that we've been doing this, it has been good for us. It has helped us. There's no two ways about it. It's helped us get the brand out there, but also the brands of our sponsors, who chip in and help us organize these things. But above all, what it seems to have done is it seems to have gotten people together and given them something nice to do after the franchise event, that they'll remember. They'll remember the hosts, but they'll remember the time that they had with the people there as well. Quite often, the food or the amount of baby Guinnesses that they might have consumed during the night. But yeah, I'd say it depends. Depending on your strategy, I think you can make any networking work. How you go about it is different. In our case, we prefer longer term working relationships with our partners and our clients, because we know they've got long term ambitions, and we want to play the long game. So that's why that's the aim we went in with, and I think it's working for us very well.
Absolutely. Let's have a little look. We've got a comment here from Leslie. Leslie put, could it be true for any other industry in the same way? Yeah, this touches on what we said earlier on, that franchising is a bit unique. I mean, when I worked for the coffee shop brand, I don't think coffee shops or big coffee brands tended to do that. You know, and I think it is quite unique, but I think it should and would work for other industries.
Yeah, I guess it'll just have to be done differently. I think it depends if you get a bit scientific about it. It depends on the competitive element of the guests, or how much competition there is amongst those guests. So if you're a coffee shop owner and it's only only coffee sellers that are there, you know, on a day-to-day basis, it's kind of their job, part of their job spec, to tread on each other's toes a little bit, and if it gets to the point where it is, you know, if people are scraping for the barrel, then a networking event, getting all those people together, it's going to be like herding the cat that just ran up the stairs there. And it would be like herding cats, because you know, we've been to events like that in another industry that we work in, where there's quite a heavy sort of competitive element between the different guests, and it was not fun. It was like being, how would I compare it? Um, to a school disco full of introverted kids. Like, you know, no one wanted to talk to each other.
Right.
Everyone was clutching their drink, and you know, and you get the odd conversation, but it's sort of like a bit of a sizing up, sort of, you know, who can I twist your hand over in a handshake type situation, and that's just awkward.
Yeah,
Um, but
absolutely.
but there could be something else that brings an industry like that together,
Mm,
where if it's around knowledge and gaining knowledge rather than sharing knowledge, and there's just, you know, there's someone on the stage talking about it, then you can see those people sort of working. They don't have to interact with each other as much as they need to. They just go for a common node almost.
mm, mm,
But yeah, I've seen it work in other industries for sure. There's parts of the food and beverage industry that work really well like that. If you've got like a bit of a homogenous offering there, then you can have, you know, you're more likely to have
mm.
friction.
Yeah, I think the industries, I guess they're still within franchising, but the sectors within franchising,
Yeah,
and they're still separate industries, but the ones that I've seen it work well in are care, the children's franchises, and pet franchises.
yeah,
And I think because there's a
mm,
huge amount of passion about the sector. You know, people rarely get into those particular type of businesses, you know, because they see financial advantage. It's normally born of something quite close to their heart,
yeah.
you know, and therefore I think there's a real desire for the whole industry to do well. And I think that's why networking works well with some particular industries and perhaps not with others.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at Leslie's question about the large amount of investment in franchise industry. I mean, when I look at the after parties that we do, you get every level of investment there in terms of franchise, or sometimes we get franchisees there as well, and um, it's hard to say that it's purely about investment. I think it goes back to what you've just said there, Harvey, about passion and bringing your own passion to it, and your passion being slightly different from others, but there being a common sort of area in the Venn diagram
Mm.
that brings you together. You know, we had I think it was 30 odd brands visiting the last after party. All of them are doing something different, even if they're in the same sector, let's say, or you know, or different investment levels, or same investment level bracket. They still had some overlap that meant that they could still be friendly with their quote unquote competitors.
Okay,
Um,
so
and I
there
think
was.
that's the passion side of it, the altruism.
Right. Okay. So, do you direct a little bit the mixture of people that are in that room so that there's a complement, or do you let
No,
people?
let it be. It is what it is. Let people be people. What we found works is that, you know, we don't. It's not meant to be a controlling engineered situation. It's meant to
No,
be as
no.
organic and a reflection of the industry. Um, the industry is quite good. So thankfully, you don't have to do a lot of engineering. You don't have to do a lot of guest list moderation at all. I think we do moderate the list, but purely to make sure that there aren't any non-franchise people coming in.
Yeah,
I think we
yeah.
had one incident where Mercedes turned up, and this was oh god, it was a bunch of younger folk. I think they were university students, but they rocked up, and we sort of just went to greet them and said hello, who are you with? And we're here with Mercedes, and we thought, okay, well maybe Mercedes is franchising their showrooms or something, and you
Yeah.
guys are part of the team. Anyway, then Mercedes turned up. Mercedes was this stunning lady with this huge fur coat and a massive wig. And I thought to myself, wow, okay, you're really impressive, but you're totally not, you were not at the franchise show today. And she
No.
was Mercedes, her name was Mercedes. So
Ah,
we have to do a bit of moderation, but that's about it,
right.
just to make
Yeah.
sure. But
Yeah.
I mean, it created some entertainment, I'll be honest with
Well, yeah, it certainly would have created a memory if someone had saw or met Mercedes, but I'm not sure the value it would have added. It actually brings us on rather nicely to Joe's comment here, actually,
you.
because we were talking there about guest lists and who you might invite,
Yep.
and do you moderate that? If you're in another industry, or if you're let's say you're a franchisor and you want to do it within your sector, as an example.
Mm.
And it's interesting. Obviously, you don't. I think that's brilliant. Just let whoever goes go and let it organically form. But Joe's put here, Saleem, do you have a networking event routine workflow that you follow, for example, before, during, and after your client business development? Do you follow some sort of procedure with sort of follows up and promotion beforehand? That sort of.
Yes, so it's a bit of a hybrid approach. So there's a lot of stuff that we do pre-event that's pretty much online. So we're sending out email invites. We'll always have a nicely designed flyer, and we want it to be unique for every event. It's quite often we change venues, and then what we would do is we'd get that out to all the people that we know are going to be at the event, and then and also people that we'd like to be there but may not be exhibiting at the event as well, but who don't have a conflict with the event. And thankfully, there's nobody like that. And so we'll get, we manage our events through Eventbrite. It's a ticketing system, so people will go online and book through there. We'll be able to, we do moderate to the extent that we make sure that we've got the right number of people coming. So, if we've got a venue that can only take 200 people, then we want to make sure we haven't got 250 people signed up for it, because we know more turn up than on the day than have actually signed up. So that works to our advantage usually. But sometimes it's we have to watch the door. And then during the evening itself, we just want to get to know people. We don't. It's no hard sell. We avoid talking shop. If somebody wants to talk shop with us, then hey ho, we can't stop them.
Cool.
And we're very proud. We're very happy to talk shop because thankfully I've got a team that loves what they do, and myself as well. But then what we'll do is, after the night is over, usually that's on a Friday evening. The next day we're back at the show. Excuse me, and then you get to sort of rub shoulders again. People want to say hi. People want to say thank you. So you get another touch point at that point. And it's again, it happens very organically. We don't over engineer this stuff. We just let it be. But what we do is we do follow up with a bit of a digital doggy bag after the event, because there are people who add value to the event, who are there, who might be sponsoring or who are just attending, and we just want to let people know that these people exist. And we'll send out an email just afterwards saying thank you, and paint a cycle to the next point. During that time, of course, our sales team do have a job to do at the show. We try not to disturb people at the stand, because we don't, they're there for a different reason. They're there to do a job, and they usually pay good money to be there as well. So we don't want to go and mess that up for them. What we do want to do is set up another conversation further down the line, and quite often, we'll after we've got to know each other, we build that trust with folk, and people want to do business with us as well. So yeah, that's the longest sort of. That's the rudimentary workflow of it that we've got in place. It's quite simple. It's quite straightforward. Very organic.
No, fantastic. No, I mean, I think it's important for it to be natural, and it's
Yeah.
important. You mentioned there about touch points as well, and I think that's really important. That as you're built, it doesn't matter why you're building a relationship. If you're building a relationship because you want to try and offer someone a product, maybe you're looking for a franchisee and you want to build a relationship with them. it's really important for that relationship building to be gentle and
Yes.
natural and organic and not contrived.
Yeah.
It can follow a process. That's okay, I think, in certain
Mm.
circumstances. But sometimes you've just got to have a blank piece of paper and let the
Yeah.
conversation flow.
Yeah. And we do have some very black and white processes in terms of our sales follow up afterwards. We have to keep ourselves organized because we're dealing with we're working with hundreds of people at any one time. So we do have to put those sorts of things in. But yeah, the human part of it has to stay human, because people buy from people, not
Yeah.
machines.
Yes. Yeah.
And even the machines have to emulate humans before they become anywhere near trustworthy. But um, one thing that we do find that works for us, um, after as part of those events, is just the fact that people get to know that we have that we're a full life cycle solution. This is one thing that we thought about because we used to quite work in different silos. So resales was all about resales. Greenfield advertising was just about greenfield advertising. Valuation was about valuation. And so we thought, okay, well, let's tie all this together, and treat it like a bit of we reflect the timeline of the industry. So a franchisor from their inception could start advertising their white spaces with us. They'll eventually flourish, and as they grow, they can be valued through Value Right, our free valuation service, and then when they're ready to resell, then they can come back onto the site. We'll help them out with that. And if franchisor, now we're talking multi-unit, which came off the back of a conversation at the after party. So we get a bit of product development knowledge out of it as well, which is that we see the needs of the industry, and the needs are people have got a lot of resales on. People are looking to see how they can attract multi-unit operators, multi-unit franchisees. So we've got a product now for that off the back of that chat at the after party. So it just keeps working.
Absolutely, it just adds these touch points
Mm.
that are really strong memories for people. I mean, at the last one in Birmingham, I met the chap from Urban Baristas, and I hadn't
Yeah.
met him before, and saw him and enjoyed some time, had a good chat with him at the after party. Then when I saw him the next day, he gave me a big wave, and he knew me. So you know what I mean. It really helped to start developing these relationships in a really
Yes.
fun and natural way. So I really get it.
Yeah.
Why do you think franchising, the industry in particular, why do you think networking is important in
Mm.
franchising, just in general? Do you think our industry relies on networking?
I think, you know what, I reckon a lot of stuff could be done without networking, but I think it's part of the DNA of franchising in general, just the franchise business model itself. A franchisor and a franchisee their fortunes are joined. A franchisor can't succeed without franchisees, and franchisees need the franchisor. So you need to maintain connection. You need to maintain that humanity, that culture, that networking, that network effect, that tribal sort of vibe, from the get-go. And it's sort of like, that's just one cell in the franchise body. Every other cell is operating the same way. Every other franchise network system is doing the same thing. There's an inbuilt sort of mutual dependency in franchising. So it sort of then it just follows to scale that it would be the case in every other type of activity that franchising ends up involved in.
Mhm.
And so networking, I think it is important in franchising more so than a lot of industries because it is a human industry. It's all people based. You can't you can't get machines to become a franchisee. Maybe not yet. I don't know what the future holds, but you can't do that. So you need to have people skills in order to work in franchising.
Yeah, yeah,
And people with people skills love to exercise those people skills too. It energizes them. It sharpens their faculties, keeps them going. And so there's a bit of a natural fit around franchising, the kind of people it attracts, the kind of people it needs,
yeah.
and networking.
I think you're right. I mean, you said it was self-cleansing earlier, and I think you're right. It also just it attracts a certain type of people that tend to share some core values that therefore make networking really fun and intuitive, I think. We had a comment here from Joe, but before we get to that, if you have just joined us, this is the Franchise Show, and today we are talking about franchise networking in all its guises. So let's have a little look at Joe's comment. Joe has put, any process that has grace to it, that engenders comfort and trust, almost always works better, and that most certainly applies in networking events and generally in one's engagements commercially. Yeah, I think Joe here is, agreeing with the fact that there's this natural flow, even if it is process based, even if something there has an order to it, even if one part of the order is some chaos, then it tends to work really well. But I think you're right. It's about building that comfort and that trust, making people feel comfortable, isn't it?
That's it. I think one of the things, again, this is going back to my early franchise days. I mean, the first person I met in the industry is no longer with the industry, thankfully. But I'd never done a sales job before I came to I joined Dynamis as part of a franchise team, and I'd never had a business card before then either, because I just worked in a job where I didn't need one, so I didn't really know the etiquette. Anyway, I gave my went to meet someone at a trade show, gave my card out, and he looked at my card and said, "Well, that's not a very English sounding name, is it?"
Oh,
And
really?
that was my first sort of first experience of the franchise industry outside of the organisation. I
Yeah.
mean, it was water off a duck's back.
Yeah.
But he put my guard straight up, and I
Oh.
was very sort of rigid after that. And I didn't like that feeling. And I thought, my God, I don't
No.
want to do this to other people at this show. So, how some people teach you how to be, and then some people teach you how not to be. That was one of those experiences.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can put someone at ease with the way you talk, what you say, and you can really put them into a position where they feel comfortable, like Joe said here, and that they
Yeah.
trust you to therefore open up, and therefore there's an exchange of value, whatever that is, even if it's just a pleasant conversation. But the more, if you're prepared to give a little bit, even if you're talking to a competitor at a networking event, even if you give a little bit and then they go, okay, well, look, they've taken their guard down a little bit here,
Yes.
want to do the same, and we're both human beings, we're both trying to do the same thing.
That's it. That's it. There's value in vulnerability almost. It's we are. I mean, and there's honesty in it as well, because a lot of the veneers that I've had to work against, and all of us have, I'm sure at some point. The moment you remove the BS, you get down to you get down to business, you get down to honesty, and actually things happen faster and move quicker, and are more productive, because you can be honest about it. If something works, it works. You'll be honest about it and do more of that. If it doesn't work, hey, I trust you enough, and I understand you enough to be able to lay it on the line as it is, and we can have a productive conversation, and we can continue the exchange, rather than play silly mind games. And I think we don't have to be offensive. We don't have to be defensive. Just be normal. Let's be human about it.
Oh,
All
100%.
gets done.
I completely agree. We've got a couple of comments coming up from Simon, but I just want to recognize and say hello to Daniel Bull. Great to have you with us, Daniel. Daniel has put, networking gives you that extra bit of energy to plug back into your business. It can also be fun, as you say. I really like this one, actually.
Yeah.
It gives you that energy. And I think it does. I think that's exactly it, because if you talk to somebody else and you've either given or received a great idea, or you've exchanged some value, you do have that energy which you put
Yes.
back into your business, don't you? What do you make of this one, Saleem?
No, 100%. I mean, the early example I gave, that we've managed to develop a service off the back of the conversation, because we came back. We all knew what the multi-unit, multi-buyer opportunities were out there among those. We all knew it as a thing. But when we met people face to face, had a conversation with them, and said, "No, this is what we're after. This is what we're looking to do," and they were just open and honest, no expectations. And then we went back and said, "Hey, this is actually really cool." So it just changed the mindset, around that conversation. And before you knew it, we were like, well, how do we do this? And within a week, we had a solution. Um, and um, and yeah, it was that. But that then energized not just the people that were at the. So to Daniel's point, this is what you're saying in action. It didn't just energize my team that was at the after party, but also the team that didn't go. Our product team, our tech team, our campaigns team. All of those people then got roped into the conversation and chipped in. And they chipped into something which has now been taken forward, and there's a win in it for everybody. And so then, what happens when you win? You kind of want to win again. So it's self-perpetuating. So yeah, Daniel, you're on the money.
Absolutely. I like what you said there as well. There's a win in it, and I think any conversation that you have at a networking event, you can find a win in that. For even if you're giving a win to somebody else, there's a win somewhere.
We all win together.
Yeah, I've always said this, that every single person has something of value to give. And I think if everyone has that attitude of just finding the valuable thing for that other person when you're at a networking event, and I think this is valid here actually at a networking event. If you remember to be interested, not interesting,
Yes.
I think, and listen, and they're normally quite loud. So listen, it's easier perhaps to listen.
I mean, DJ was pretty hectic. The last one, to be fair. What was his name? DJ Lee Smart. I mean, we just booked him for the name. DJ Lee Smart. But it was good fun. But no, you're absolutely right. It is the exchange comes a lot easier if you ease off the throttle a little bit, and it is about listening and
Definitely.
It's called active listening, I think it's called something like that.
Yeah. Someone once said to me, "I need you to listen with intent."
Yes.
And you often see me doing this, and it's not because I'm distracted, it's because I write a lot of things down. And I was doing the same thing during this call, and he said that I need you to listen to me with intent. And it resonated with me, because you can just listen, or you can really listen and try and do something of value with something that someone says. We are starting to come to the end of the first part of today's session. Let's quickly take this final one here from Simon, because I think this is a good question. What are the main things to avoid when organizing and running a good networking event? Yeah, this is a really good question. Hard one to answer, but over the years, could you give some tips to someone in another industry that's looking to do this?
Yeah, I think one thing is don't be selfish. Don't be too selfish about it, which is don't make it about the people that are there. Provide value. I think quite a lot of times where I've seen networking events or dinners organized by somebody, it's all because of what's in it for that person. And it's sort of, I mean, apart from being boring, it's not really going to create the environment where a true exchange happens, a fair exchange happens. So I think that's what everybody should be. It should be in. I mean, we think it should be done in a way that everyone will walk away with some value from it, whatever that is, tangible or intangible. They should walk away with something. They should walk away with some form of memory from it, some takeaway, whatever that might look like. In terms of what those takeaways look like, merch is a really easy one, and if you make it fun merch, then people will go for it. Especially if it ties things back to a memory. I think at our last, I think I still have it in my bag, but at the last event, Venners, who were the sponsor of that of the last after party, they gave out spinning tops, and I've still got it, and I still I carry it around with me because I mean it makes me think of Venners quite often, because it's there, but give them something to take away with themselves that they'll remember you by. In our case, it's the hangover. So they'll remember us for how we made them feel the next day. but no, jokes aside, there's got to be some continuity to it as well. So create a longer tail after the event and lead up to the next one as well, so people stay engaged with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We've got about a minute left till we're going to get to the next section of today's show. We've got a couple more comments. I'm going to bring these up quickly, I think. We have Leslie's put, the best part about this show is even if you don't know one thing about franchising like me, you will walk away with value every time. Well, there
Oh,
you
that's
go.
lovely.
Thanks, Leslie. And that's what it's about. And that's what networking is, of course, about. You know, it's sharing things and gaining value. And it's the same for Leslie's show. Let's have a look at this one from Katrina. Katrina's, but thank you for hosting the after parties. They are always filled with great people within the franchise industry. In fact, it was at an after party that I met Harvey face to face for the first time. Well,
Oh,
that's it.
wow.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's a great endorsement.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's and we've got Simon that's put how do you get on the guest list? Oh, well,
Right. Well, you can approach us as well before the event, because we hold one of these after every franchise, well, after the first day of every franchise show in the UK. So whether it's the one in January or February, I think it is in Olympia. Then there's one at the Excel in April, and then there's another one in October at the NEC in Birmingham. We might even be doing an international one next
oh,
year somewhere in
excellent.
North America. But yeah, that you can approach us about it, but we will send out the invites, so we know who's exhibiting at the shows, and we're pretty well connected in the industry, so we'll send out beautifully designed invites. Some of them will be on that board up there. The very first one is up there somewhere.
Fantastic.
But yeah, we'll do that, and we just let us know if you want to come, Simon. You're always welcome.
Oh, there you go. Excellent. Well, look, we have got to the end of the first part of today's show. This is the bit where the screen has to go flat for a little bit because it's now technically destroying my office there. um, this is where I need to switch hats. And this
Hey.
part of the show is sponsored by, of course, Paul Murphy from PJ Murphy and Son, Bespoke British Hatters. I'm going to have to put my entire office back together now.
It's looking all right from here. And I'll be honest with you, it was at one of these networking events that I found out that Paul makes hats. I didn't
Yeah,
know, and
yeah,
then he found out
absolutely.
that I make ceramics, and it was, and we didn't even talk about franchising for the next 20 minutes. It was purely about craft.
You make ceramics.
Yeah,
Look, you know what? That actually brings us on to the last part where I would normally ask the question, have you got any unusual hobbies? So you're now answering it before I've asked it, which is
well,
yeah.
it's a hobby I took up because I guess well, there's a few unusual hobbies, but let's talk about pottery. It's just easier, easier to justify. But some days can be busy. Some weeks can be a bit, they can be pretty full on. And I needed a way to sort of just switch off at times. I'm not good at switching off, and so what I did was, well, actually, a friend of mine suggested this pottery class up the road from where I live in Walthamstow. And I thought to myself, okay, well, I'm going to hate this. Anyway, I went there, I loved it. And this was just in my bag, but I'll make small ceramics like this. That's one of mine. To the point where I've got my own maker's mark and everything now. So yeah, weekends I spend Saturday mornings on the wheel in the studio, just making things. And it's the
Fantastic.
best thing I've done in years.
Oh, I love it. Love that. I didn't know that about you. So there you go. A potter.
I'm
Yeah.
a
This bit's
potting about.
sponsored by a hatter and we have a potter.
Actually, a potter.
This is also the part of the show where you get to get your own back on me.
Oh God. Do you know what? I haven't got anything because I don't want to.
That's perfect. You
I've got actually no. Screw it. Let's just go with one.
can let me get away with it.
No, no. Do you know what? I was going to ask you what your favorite Italian restaurant was because I need a suggestion. but
You can
maybe
ask
they
me
got
whatever
a
you
branch
like.
in London.
You can ask me whatever you like.
Go for it. Let's just go with that.
What, my favourite Italian restaurant?
Yes.
Okay, well, it's got to be Zizzi's.
Oh, nice.
Okay, well, look, I'm going to have to share with you all. Show your book that you've got.
Oh no. Can I show this?
Well, you can show the front cover.
I can show the front cover. There you go. I mean, that's not too bad. So we were bonding over this before, right?
Before the episode, we were sharing a few words that mean something else in another language, and that was a little nod to our conversation. So maybe you can look that one up. Anyway, we have now come to the end of today's episode. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who has been with us live today and got involved in our conversations and spoken about networking in such a fantastic way. So thank you to all of you. And I'd like to thank the fantastic Saleem from Businesses for Sale, not only for the fantastic conversation today, but for your support for this show and for the fantastic networking events that you put on.
A real pleasure. Thank you.
Great. Now, just leaves us to say what's going on next week. So next Tuesday on the Franchise Show, that's Tuesday, 28th of October, 5:15 GMT, we are going to be speaking with the lovely Penny Hopkinson, and we are going to be talking about a smarter path to franchise growth. So please join us next Tuesday, 5:15 GMT, 12:15 EST. And until next time, take very good care. Cheerio.